Hi, my name is Alfonso,
Hi, and I'm Francisco.
and this is Easy Talks, our podcast. Thanks to all the people who've been watching and making comments on the podcast. Believe it or not, we do have comments. Yeah, we do. You should see it sometime or read the comments.
I will never watch it.
Today we're gonna talk about wheels, Mexican wheels for that matter, because we received this question a lot of if his American or his Canadian wheel works in Mexico. Technically it does, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be complicated to
I never
use
have,
it here, but it doesn't have a case to do it.
because when they ask me, my response is always kind of blurry because technically they do work. And there was a time when I used to tell people, well, translate it, have it apostille, send it here. But as far as I understand, and the reason I'm asking or we're talking about this is because litigation is not what we do really in is illegal.
And you don't want to do it.
And you don't want to go through litigation. But as far as I know, the will has to be approved by a judge. When you start the process, it has to be approved, right?
Yeah.
Because a normal will, the judge asks, and we'll get into that, but the judge asks the notary's archives if that was the last will. So they will have to approve it as the last will. So it's a process that takes longer. It costs the same as doing a Mexican will, and it's really not worth the while. So we have to cut because he started ruling. So so we're starting from the perspective of Mexican wills. Now that we have established that we're not talking about your American will or Canadian will or any part of the world will being executed in Mexico. So a Mexican will, the first thing we will need to start is when do you need one? We have countless meetings of people wanting to meet with us because I need a will or I want to do a will. And when they come here, it turns out they have a fideicomiso. So the fact of the matter is that now we ask in the phone, why do you think you need a will? So we don't have to go through the meeting. But the fact of the matter is, if you have a fideicomiso, you don't need a will.
Yeah. The fideicomiso acts like a will. You can designate whoever you want as a beneficiary. So in case something happens to you, the property goes to one, two, or X number of persons that you want to. It's a really easy process. You just need to, whoever is the beneficiary just need to exhibit the death certificate, bring it to us, and we just make a new deed under the name of whoever is the beneficiary.
Yeah. So if you have a fideicomiso and what you want to leave or the things that you have that you want to put on the will is your house, you don't need to make a will. If you have a bank account and what you think you need a will for is the money in the bank account, you also don't need a will because bank accounts, just like fideicomisos, has beneficiaries in the contract. So when you open the account, you already appoint who is going to receive that money when you pass away. So you don't need a will because of that. What do you need a will for if you're a foreigner? I should say that from the starter because we Mexicans need wills for everything. But if you're a foreigner, what do you need a will for? Furniture, valuable assets, jewelry,
Yeah, really most of our clients, they don't make a will because usually the contents of the house
are
not valuable unless you have paintings or, like you said, jewelry.
Even cars. Technically you need a will for cars, but we're not gonna get into that because it's not the most.
But we will help you with the car.
But we will help you with the car. Don't worry. Ask us about how to work out the thing of the car without a will. So technically, it's more for that kind of things, valuable things that you want to leave, or maybe instructions that you want the grandma's chain to go to my kid or stuff like that. So if after you check your respond the question of what do I need a will for? And it's not for a house that is on a fideicomiso, and it's not for money on the bank account or a car. If the answer is still yes, then this will be, we're going to go into the process. I would like to say before we begin that usually foreigners or expats have properties in a fideicomiso or in a corporation. If you have it in a corporation, and even before you form a corporation, think that you will need a Mexican will, because what you'll be inheriting will be the share of stock that you have in the corporation. So you do need a will if you have a corporation. Actually, when we explain the benefits of the fideicomiso, we always say
that acts like a will.
Like a will. It acts like a will, which a fideicomiso corporation is not. So, first step is you make an appointment, and we get information. Simple information like name of your parents. Don't get scared if we ask that. We need that information. Who's gonna be your heir or heirs, and what are they gonna get? And who's gonna be your executor? So the three last times we talk about wills, and I have to explain to a couple of clients what is an executor. So an executor, and I don't know if it's
the same.
It's the same thing in the States?
Yeah.
It's the guy that actually executes. I mean, basically, he is responsible for the assets while the process of recognizing the heirs takes place. And he's the one who executes it, go in front of a judge or in front of a notary to execute it. And that's who you need to appoint. Mexican wills are not like American or Canadian wills, though. We don't have all those conditions in our wills that you need to live in a house with my 8 cats until they passed away before you can get your stuff. Or you have to, if your firstborn son is a male, then you will get X amount. If you want that, I think the best way to go will be
a trust.
A trust. Inheritance trust? Inheritance trust will be the best way to go. But if not, which you have to form while you're alive, but if not, then you don't get to put that on the will, because in the will you leave the assets, and once they get the assets,
they can do whatever they want with it.
Whatever the hell went on with them, and I can kick all 8 cats out of my house and sell it if I wanted to. Now that you have all that information, we sit, make an appointment, sign the deed in front of a notary. They ask us a lot also if they can do a will, if 2 people can do a will at one, and the answer is no, you cannot. This is the law defines it as the most personal act that there is. So each will is 1 will per person. And regardless of your merit. I don't know if the States you can do 2 wills at once.
I don't.
Why will they ask them?
I don't know.
So, well, if in your country you can do it, here in Mexico you cannot. So, and then you get your will, you get your copy, and you go home. How can we explain the process of how to start? You passed away, and then what?
Whoever thinks has the rights of inheritance,
yes.
Yeah. You go to a lawyer, and we as a lawyer make you sign a letter that you submit to the notary archives, Archivo Notarial, to see if there's another or a newer will. If not, that one is the one that is going to be used for the process.
You have to excuse my partner. He's hungover. That's why he's being incredibly boring. So, but my point was more of how, you bring the will and we open it and we submit a letter. The process, there's the process is you have two ways to do the process: in front of a judge or in front of a notary. By the way, the reason why you submit a letter to the notary's archives to see if that was the last will is because the last one the deceased made is the valid one. So if, for an example, you are guaranteeing a property or something with a will, if the person makes a new will to 1 day before he passed away, that's the valid one. The very last will is the one who is the valid one.
Unless you can prove the last one is, it was forced or.
But you don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
That's litigation to try to establish that a will is.
Or the mental capacity of the.
Or of the deceased party, or the person who made the will was under some kind of coercion or something like that. But that's just those are nasty situations that we don't get into. There's ways to void a will, but let's just talk about the process, how to form it, and how it will regularly go before we get on the nasty situations that families or friends goes through. Because there's process. The regular process for a will takes 3 months, 2 months.
To form it?
No, to form it like very fast, a week.
To execute.
But to execute a will, 2-3 months maybe. In front of a notary.
Yeah.
In front of a notary, it takes 2-3 months. And in front of a judge, right now,
6 months, a
to
year.
a year. What's the difference? It's way cheaper to do it in a courthouse, but it takes 6 months to a year because right now where we are, which is Merida, Yucatan, the courthouses doesn't have appointments, hearings dates, very available in a short period of time on notice. They give you a hearing in 2 months or 3 months. So, and the next hearing will be in another 3 months and so on. So it is a complicated process if you do it in front of a courthouse, but it's cheaper than in front of a notary. That being said, we do recommend to do it in front of a notary. It's cheaper, faster, easier.
It's not cheaper.
Sorry, it's faster, easier, and you will get the properties in the names of the heirs quicker. So then you have these two situations. If you choose the notary, the process takes 2-3 months. I'm not going to get into detail because there's no point to do that, but it requires some a recognition of heirs. It requires some publications in the newspaper to call people who thinks they have the right for the things that are part of the inheritance. And then the final part, they make a new deed, which will be, how will you translate it? La escritura de adjudicación de herencia. It will be the deed in which...
It's not necessarily a deed, because if it's not a property and it's just jewelry and that kind of things.
Well, you're right. If it's not a, you're right. I'm talking, when I said deed, maybe I was referring to a property because that's usually what Mexicans go through a will for. But if the will was made for furniture or for things, or if for a car or for share stock, then it will be the final part will be the document where they will be declare the rightful owners by inheritance of those things. I think that will be the best way to describe it. The cost varies. I really cannot give you a cost. It will be something you will have to inquiry with us because the cost varies. In front of a judge, it's different. In front of a judge, the process has 4 stages, and although it's quicker than if you don't have a will and you need to claim some inheritance without a will, still you have to go through the full process of presenting the process, the judge asking the notary's archives if there's a new will, recognition of heirs, the inventory that you have to make, all the way to the judgment, where it will be recognized as the rightful owners of whatever the will was made for. If it's share of stock, you're dying, right?
This has to be the most
board.
boring podcast we have ever made, Alfonso. I have to tell you.
It could be. It could very well be. But wait until we talk about, I don't know, what else can be accounting. Wait until we talk about accounting. So, but it's useful, man. What if you passed away? Imagine you passed away on a foreign country. No,
I wouldn't care. So,
no, that's why I'm talking about your wife or something, or if you buy property or you live in a foreign country, then you will wanna know how to. And they ask us this a lot. I mean, we do a lot of wills,
yeah.
And it's because of that. So collaborate, asshole. So what I was going to say, I completely forgot. So you have the freaking judgment and resolutions, and you become with share of stock. You have to use that to make a minutes of the meeting or to become the shareholder. So can you expose that? Can you?
You already said it. You go to the notary and made the change on the names of the corporation.
With furniture, you don't have to do that, and if you're a Mexican and you leave a property, you have to inscribe that in the public register to become the owner. Now, that was the will and the process of a will. The important part here is to tell the people that's going to take care of that where the will is, or at least leave a copy, and have them know this. You have to go through a notary, to an attorney, to somebody to present the will and tell them, hey, I have a will and I would like to execute it. And they will give you a price, and depending on if you want to go through a notary or through the courthouse, they will give you a time frame. We go into the next subject, which is pretty similar to the will, because people think that I think in the United States you do it at once, which is the living will.
What do you mean at once?
I think they do wills and living wills in one document or something like that, because they.
No, I think they're separate too.
Well, maybe I've seen it in some in one documents, but maybe. But before 2016, people came to us and asked for living wills. And you used to do something, not like power of attorneys?
Yeah, it was a private document, just notarized, but it was not the actual living will.
Did it work though?
I never use it, fortunately. I mean, I have never lost a client so far, so.
Yeah. So you don't even know if that actually.
I think it was more just to cover the bases, just in case, because it was not an official thing here. So
well, what I used to do was
it was basically a living will, exactly as the ones
that we have now.
We have now, but with right now it's recognized by the Ministry of Health and the government. That before it wasn't.
I used to do powers of attorney, because the person who was in the hospital was still alive. So the power was still valid, and they were allowed to make decisions with the power of attorney. Now, since 2016, we have something in Yucatan. Actually, we're talking about Yucatan. Don't extrapolate this to other cities. Called Ley de Voluntad Anticipada, which is basically a living will. You are establishing in a document your desires for if you want to be kept alive, who will make the decisions if you cannot make them no more. Sorry, if you cannot make them no more. And you can also put who don't get to make the decisions. You can say, hey, this kid will unplug me in a second, so I don't want him making any decisions, stuff like that. And we, after you present, the process is quite simple. You send us the instructions, and you sign it, and then that gets recorded at the Ministry of Health, I guess. And the thing that they always recommend me, and the first time we did it was quite confusing. We couldn't, even the notary had problems doing it when we start doing them. But they always recommend us that when the person gets into the hospital, the document gets presented in the hospital's
Administration.
in admission. So they know you're the one who's going to be taking care of the decisions, who's going to be deciding for the person that's getting into the hospital. And so far, that I do know, because one client, especially of us, was use it. It's been perfectly recognized by all the authorities, by all the hospitals, and it does work. And as Mexicans who don't have one and need to make one, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Especially you who want to die in a second if you have something.
Exactly.
And talk about suicide every time he talks about having the smallest disease you can think of, I will kill myself. That's always his exit. So the living will allows you to not having to kill yourself necessarily, but to let the people that you trust to do right by you, and make the decisions that they know you want them to make. So this is not only for foreigners, this is also for Mexicans. It's a very important document. We encourage people to actually do it. At least I want one. And that will be it. And the process of that is also quite simple. As soon as the person passed away, the living will cease to have any effects. But it's an important thing to have both will and living will. What I can tell you from the things that we have witnessed, because we as attorneys have witnessed horrible situations of families getting torn apart by inheritance and stuff like that, is that having these two things will give you peace of mind. And it will give peace of mind to the people around you, especially the people who's going to be staying alive with all the problems that usually when you pass away, you're going to leave. So if you want to do any of these processes, if you have questions, if you want to inquire more about this, send us an email, give us a call. We have a special department. Actually, I think we should have invited Xavier Xavier is the head of our wills and living wills department, to be here, but I guess that will be for the next time. And talk with us, send us the questions. We have a person in charge of that department who will guide you, help you, make them for you, have them ready, and in the event that you passed away, you passed away, don't call us. Don't visit. If you passed away, please just stay there. But in the small situation that your care one passed away, or you need to execute a will, give us a call. We also have a department for that. Stop laughing, man. You also have a department for that. That could help you to execute the will in front of a notary. We don't follow through we don't recommend to follow through the process in front of the courthouse, and if that's the case, then we can recommend you somebody. But our area of expertise will be to do it in front of a notary. So give us a call, send us a message, make an appointment, and we'll take care of that. That will be it for today, right? He doesn't even have a beer. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Cheers. I don't have. Cheers.